Block, and ideally a ball. If you don't have a ball, we're going to use it towards the end, so you could drop towards the end. If you don't have a block, get a book. I'll show you how you can use a trash can too. In Yoga Tune-Up, we talk a lot about a sankalpa, which is a chosen resolution or mindset that influences your direction and purpose. And when we go through life without sankalpa or intention, we can kind of be at the whim of a sort of victimization or the chitta vritti, the mental chatter. So the sankalpa that I will offer you today is a really simple one. The sankalpa would be, I create contentment. And when we look at santosha and contentment in a yogic context, it's not just like I float through life and everything's dreamy and kumbaya. It's contentment is something that takes work to cultivate. And sometimes you kind of have to hold on to it ferociously in order to keep it up at the surface. So our sankalpa for today, in the midst of all the chaos, is I create contentment. It doesn't have to come to you. You can create it. And we just try it one breath at a time, but be patient with yourself today. Okay, so we're going to get class started. And we're just going to start with a check-in. We're going to feel how the breath is moving in the body, and we're going to mobilize the upper body. So I'm sitting close to you on a little bench right now, but if you want to just sit on the floor, that's fine too. Find a comfortable seat, sit up nice and tall. And on your inhale, you're going to bring arms up overhead, like you're imagine you're collecting from the body all the stuff you don't need. And exhale, push it out of the body. Inhale, arms up overhead, offer up whatever else you have, and exhale, let it go. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale, collect what you need. Exhale, draw it into the body. Inhale, gather what you don't need. And exhale, press it out. Inhale, lift up whatever's left. And exhale, let it go. One more time. Inhale, sweep. Welcome to class. We're going to meet on our mat, and we're going to do a big hips and legs focused class today. So let's get down on the mat. It's going to get more echoey. Sorry, it's just the nature of class. But we're going to start on our backs, and we're going to do some bridge lifts. So you'll lie down on your back with your knees bent, and your feet flat, arms down by your sides. And your feet are roughly in a bridge setup. So they're not super far away. They're not out really wide. So they're kind of close, feet parallel. On your inhale, you're going to lift your hips and lift your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, hips are going to come down and arms come down. See if you can get that rhythm going. Inhale, hips up, arms up. Exhale, hips down, arms down. Inhale, hips up, arms up. Exhale, hips down, arms down. Continue with the rhythm of your breathing. We're going to do 3 to 5 more cycles here. And especially if you've been sitting a lot of people on conference calls these days, a lot of people watching extra Netflix. And that's all good, but we got to make sure that we're not getting a flat and confused butt. So just waking up your butt. Next time you lift up, let's stay up. Keep the arms overhead. Now take a big inhale up here. Exhale all the air out. Once you've got all the air out, push all the stale air out. Put your hips down on the ground and feel that slight vacuum effect. Stay for 3. Stay for 2. Soften your belly, breathe in. And breathe out. Good, arms come down by your side. Now it's hard for me to demo this perfectly because I still have to talk to you, so you may not hear me holding the exhale like you are, but see how long you can retain it. Let's try 2 more of those. Inhale, hips up, arms up. Exhale all the air out. When you're totally empty, put your hips down. Sustain the exhale retention. Here for 3. Here for 2. 1, soften your belly. Breathe in and breathe out. Let's do 1 more. Arms down by your side. Inhale, hips up, arms up. Exhale, all the air out. When it's out, hips come down. Retain the exhale. Stay here for 3. Stay for 2. Soften your belly, breathe in. And breathe out. Good, or at least I think you're doing good. Emotionally, I can really feel that you're doing a great job here. You're right. Can be a great way to free up some breathing room in and around the torso. Maybe you can feel that as you inhale, the left side of the belly puffs out a little bit more than it would normally do. See if you can take some big breaths up into the right thigh. And you can just stay here and nourish. If you're super stressed out lately, breathe here for another minute or so as I give you a couple other options. If you feel like you've been eating too many at-home cupcakes or mac and cheese or frozen pizzas and you want to do some core work, that's groovy. So the core work would entail taking an inhale. And exhale, lift the shoulders and head off the mat like you're doing a crunch. If there's any strain in the neck, put one of your hands behind your head. Otherwise, you can stay like this or float the hands. When you float the hands, the hip flexors are going to have to work to keep this leg in its same position. Stay here or float the left leg and lift, crunch as you reach through the left foot. Stay to your belly and then breathe your belly up into your thigh. And you can think of your torso almost like a balloon. If you pinched on one side of the balloon, the other side is going to puff out and get even bigger. So we're doing that with the torso. We're making physical breathing room. And again, if you've been more stressed lately, keep doing this. It can't impart how good this is for you. So stay there or take a big breath in. And as you exhale, peel the shoulders, hips off the mat. You can stay here or reach the hands. Try to keep pulling the leg in towards the body. Stay here or float the right leg. And then pull it all together. Shoulders up, right leg long, belly down, left leg in. Stay for 3. Roll over onto our bellies. And turn around just because it's a little bit easier for me to see you. Looking this way. Okay. So you're going to come onto your belly and we're going to do some butt lifts. We're going to continue the glute activation for a little bit longer. So you're going to lift your feet off the ground so that your knees are bent roughly 90 degrees. And what we don't want to do here is lift the leg way up and crunch into the low back. It's going to appear visually on the screen very, very small. But so maybe you can bring your cheek down onto your arms here so the upper body is just relaxed onto the mat. Now pull your navel in and stay strong in the belly. See if you can lift your right knee off the ground 1 inch, like the right foot is trying to stamp a footprint on something that's just a little bit over the height of where it was a minute ago. And then put it down. And then left foot lifts, left knee lifts maybe 1 inch off the ground. It's not very big. And then come down. And then start to stamp footprints up just a little bit. And while you do this exercise, you're going to start to notice if you're dumping into your low back, if you're not engaging your core, you're not going to feel it in the glutes as much. We're kind of stealing from the low back to make it look bigger. So don't worry about how big it looks. See if you can feel your butt contraction, your booty contraction, doing the lifting. And with every lift, just, I'm sorry for all that Netflix. I'm sorry for all that Hulu. But I love you. Good. Do a few more here. Let's see if we can get that butt nice and lively. I can tell you have a very lively butt. I can just sense it out and in. Yeah, and then go a little bit faster and see how far out and how far in they can come. Just a little bit of warm up for internal and external rotation of your hips. Perfecto. Press up through hands and knees, table. I'm going to turn this way. I think maybe a little bit sideways might be easiest to see. Okay, so we're going to do some circles for the glutes. Again, we want to make sure that we're not collapsing in the back. So pull your belly in. You want a relatively neutral spine here. And then Fire hydrant the right leg out to the right. If you tend to tip all the way over, see what you can do to keep the pelvis relatively level. And then start to, that's my dog, start to make little circles with the tip of the right knee, like you're drawing circles around a quarter or a 50-cent piece. So it's not big. Firm the belly in, keeping your pelvis level. And after about 5 or 6 of them, it starts to get really interesting. Pause, go in the other direction. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, pure joy. Whew. Okay, let's do it with the other side. So tabletop, hands and knees. Again, around the torso, like you're wearing a corset, I guess. And then fire hydrant the left knee out. Try to stay steady and strong in the arms and shoulders. Start to draw a little circle with the tip of your left kneecap. And just hang out with that. Don't really care how many you do. I want you to seek sensation. And usually it erupts out of nowhere here. Here for 3 in this direction. For 2, 1, go in the other direction. Whew. And draw those circles. Firm the belly, level your hips, push into hands. Here for 3. Here for 2, 1. Whew, release. Kind of sway the hips out a little bit. Maybe take a few cat-cows. Just give yourself a little moment of respite, a little counter pose. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of standing stuff. Oh no, first we're going to do toes pose. I forgot. Offload a little bit by leaning forward. But we're going to see if we can find a destination that is breathable. And when you're in that destination that you have chosen, just sit still with it. And get your awareness down into your feet. So many times we get stressed out. It's all up here. Sometimes in yoga you'll hear the term vata deranged, too airy, too light, too kind of chaotic and out there. And so let's get the awareness down low, right? Into these sort of primal centers of energy in the body, the feet, the hips, the legs. And notice the urges to fidget and distract. For me, they were pretty heavy the other night in my first online class. So be with that. And set a breath goal. Say, okay, I'm just taking 2 more, 3 more, 5 more breaths. And with those breaths, do your best. We're all in this together. Let's stay for 3 more. For 2. Take another big breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Okay, good. Come forward and tap out the tops of your feet. And if I thought my dog was anxious before, she's uber anxious now. And the problem with taking off my watch is I can't check my time. Okay, we're doing great. So we're going to do a couple of standing poses. So come up into just a standing mountain. And feel down into your feet. Feel the way that your feet connect to the floor. Kind of move around on the feet a little bit. See where you tend to shift the weight. I know I ride the outside edges of my feet. Some people ride forward. And see if you can feel the contribution from your toes. And so the first 3 tend to be this major mover, primary stabilizer. And the outside 2 are more like little support structures. So see if you can feel as you come up, how the toes carry you, how the toes lift and stabilize you. Where does the weight go down? Where is it a little bit shaky? And just keep going, do a few more. I know they seem kind of boring, but after about 50, they get really spicy. I tell people I do these a lot when I'm pumping gas, see how many I can get in. And it takes a little bit to get there. But especially if you're sitting a lot, you do want to make sure that you activate the calves. The calves are often called the second heart of the body because they help move fluid from the lower half of the body back up. So pumping the calves can actually help reduce strain on your heart and help the lymph system purge waste, right? So we want the lymph system to be a healthy kind of garbage truck system of the body, getting rid of what we don't need. Now you're probably getting there, yes? Okay. Lift up, stay up. Lift your arms up. Touch the ceiling. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, let your heels come down. Okay. A little bit of squatting. So feet can be hip width distance, a little bit wider if you need to. Turn the toes out if you need to. I always try to coach my knees kind of straight ahead, but feel it out in your body. Okay. And the other thing that we want is a straight and stable spine. So I don't want to feel like the upper body is closing in. I want to feel like I can bend my knees enough that I can kind of stick the butt out a little bit and get a consistent space here between my belly and my thighs. And then I'm going to just sort of extend the back of the knees and bend the back of the knees. Extend and bend. So this back here is the only thing that's really moving or changing. This relationship between chest and thigh is actually relatively consistent. With your arms, you can kind of knock knuckles in front of the chest and just wake it up. Get it connected. Here for 5. Here for 4. Here for 3. Here for 2. Now get low, stay low. Really starting to feel into the legs now. Bring your arms behind you. Lift and broaden the chest. Now from your feet, push the floor away and come up. And bring your arms down by your sides. Stand for a couple breaths and just feel inward. Circles. Nice, big hip circles. When I used to teach in Boston, I used to say a lot like Tom Brady on the sideline, and that made people laugh. Now we can't say the T word in our house anymore. Go in the other direction. Not so worried about how many you achieve or how fast you go, but how am I improving the quality of what I'm feeling? How accurately am I feeling the movement capacity in the hip joints? Because I guarantee you somewhere on this path, like here, a little bit towards the front for me, there's a sticky spot. I know that's TFL, and I know that's connected to IT band. So as we start to notice where in the movement we feel a little bit of stickiness, we can start to identify areas that we may want to roll, we may want to massage. Okay. Come back to neutral. Let's do some Proserpina Lunges. So this is one where having a block under each hand would be awesome. But here's some alternate tools. Here's my little trash can. Here's the little bench that I talked to you on in the beginning. So find something that you can put your hands on. I think this is the easiest way to show it. Under each hand here. Okay. But what we're going to do with the body is we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So we're going to take the feet out wide. And we're going to try to get the spine relatively straight. So again, if I try to lock my legs out, there's a big chance that it's going to curl in the upper body. If I bend the knees a little bit, it's a lot easier for me to pull the chest forward and get a neutral spine. Feet point in the same direction, so feet are parallel. Now, normally, if I were to lunge towards the back of my room, I would angle the hips, and I'd feel kind of a groovy stretch on the inside line of the leg, but there'd be no muscle engagement in it. So what I'm going to try to do instead is level the hips, keep them level as I shift to the right, and then push down into the left leg. And then come across center, and as I move to the left, I'm pushing down into the right leg and resisting the motion. Moving side to side, just slowly, like you're trying to make it hard for yourself. You're moving through thick mud or cement, but resisting the motion as you go. And you'll feel the inner line of the legs light up pretty significantly here. If you want to do extra work on spinal stability, you can bring hands to heart. But this is really about the lower half of the body. So if you need some support stabilizing the spine, by all means use blocks. You can also tent fingers on blocks if you want to alleviate a little bit of pressure, put a little bit more work in your back muscles. Let's do a couple more to each side. Just getting the awareness down into the legs. Okay. Come on back so that your feet are about hip width distance apart. For this one, I like my block or blocks or a trash can relatively tall, okay? So what we're gonna do, these are called moon rises. So we're gonna lift the leg, let's lift the left leg, parallel to the floor. And then start to turn your left toes forward out into the room, and then turn them back down to the floor. So left toes turn out to the left, and then down into the floor. And keep going, and you'll start to feel some really interesting stuff happening in the standing leg pretty soon, okay? Looks like the lifted leg is the one that's moving, but there's a ton of work happening in the standing leg to create the movement. Let's see if we can get 5 more of these. Trying to keep the hands relatively grounded and even. 4, 3, for 2, woo-wee. 1. Delicious and spicy. Okay, left leg is your standing leg. Right leg lifts. Start to peel the right hip open. Turn your right toes out to the right. And then right toes back to the floor. Pelvis returns to parallel. Right hip opens. And the right hip turns down. So continue on your own, really at any speed that helps you feel. Can I sense when my pelvis is level and is my spine straight? Can I sense how far open I can rotate around that standing left hip? And where am I feeling it? Where are the muscles fatiguing first? How am I grounded and stable in the left foot? I took a workshop a couple weeks ago, and the teacher said, I don't understand how anyone can get bored in yoga because there's so many things to feel if you really go inside and start investigating. Let's do form work. Seems about good. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Shake that out a little bit. It's tough being a teacher. You don't always have to demo everything that you tell people to do when you're teaching, but to have to talk and do it at the same time, it's a whole different story. Okay, so we've worked a good amount around the back of the hips, the sides of the hips. We're gonna get some movement going on in the front of the hips. And if you've been in yoga tune-up with me before, even sometimes in vinyasa, these are called psoas circles, which basically means you're going to lie on your back and draw a spiral. Psoas spirals, not psoas circles. You're going to draw a spiral with one leg at a time. So you're going to start small and then go big, like that. And if at any point in the spiral you start to feel a click in the hip, instead of drawing a spiral, draw a C shape around the click until you don't feel it anymore. For me, listen for that. A lot of us have pretty tight psoas regions, so that's kind of a normal thing that people can experience. So lie down, wide V shape. What we don't want to have here is our body and our torso and our hips rocking all over the place. We want a controlled movement from this muscle on the front of the hip here. So point that big toe up like it's the tip of a marker and start to draw a spiral. The spiral starts small. As the spiral gets bigger, you may notice this urge to rock from one hip to the other, for the ribs to peel off the floor, but see if you can pull your belly in and kind of organize the rest of yourself down into the mat. Now the psoas spiral gets even bigger and bigger, and it starts to get as big as it could possibly get. And then you pause, and then you start going from big in the other direction now, change directions, from big, and start to get a little smaller, and a little smaller, and a little smaller, and then it gets even smaller, and you're probably feeling it. Hello, psoas, nice and spicy, and release. Now this right leg that just did all the work gets a lovely, delicious little stretch here. So you're going to put a block underneath your hips. Let the right leg go long. This leg gets the stretch because this leg just did all the work. Hug your left knee into chest. And that should feel pretty delicious. If it doesn't, try turning the block up one level. I know some of you have been doing this one for a while. And I want you to feel this in your low back. I want you to feel this right down here on the front of the hip. But if you don't feel it, you can go up a level. And then we're going to try a breathing technique. So we're going to inhale actively and exhale passively. Just relax on the exhale, let it happen. Inhale actively. Exhale passively. And then continue on your own. And you may notice that you hover a little bit at the base of the exhale, just to make sure all the air is out. There's no particular rhythm that you need to go in here. Active inhale. A lot of what we're doing with the breathing techniques today is massaging down into some of these stress houses of the body. In that same workshop I was talking about earlier, the teacher said, we tend to hide all the shit that we don't want to deal with deep down in here. All right, take a big breath in and open mouth, exhale. All right, let's try the other side. So a block comes out, right leg is long, arms into a low wide V, left leg up, point the toe, and start to draw your spiral. Small at first, tuning into the solidity of the connection with the rest of your body and the floor. So isolating as best you can, that's psoas. And now this one, I can feel it. I can feel it. So I'm going to start doing my C shape because I feel that that flap or like is getting really big, as big as your body can make it. And then it starts to go in the other direction. Or if you're in a C shape, you just start taking it from big to small again until you can start spiraling back in the opposite direction. About halfway there. Yep, about there I can start spiraling again. And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Don't forget the very end, right back up towards the center and let it go. Okay. Block under hips. Let's let that left leg chill out a little bit. Level 1, level 2. One isn't better than the other. Just what do you need to feel it? I know my left side's a little tighter. I actually prefer the left side on level 1. So let the left leg stretch long. Right knee hugs in. Just feel how good that feels for a couple breaths. So nice. And then for a few cycles, start to do that active inhale, passive exhale. Activate the inhale. Relax around the exhale. Can you feel the edges of where the breath is moving in the body as you breathe? Good. Take one more big breath in. And once again, just lie down. I'm going to check my time, but you lie down. And feel into the body. Feel into the movement and the motion of the breath. And then we're going to get into the portion of class where we do some self-massage. We're going to start on our backs, and we're going to do the hips. We're going to do one hip at a time, because for this first one, I just wanted everybody to get the simple task of finding a ball, and we'll use more diverse tools in the future if everybody starts to order some tools. So take your blue ball or your tennis ball or your container of spice, like I did a Chipotle seasoning jar that was cylindrical. That also rolled really well. Lift your butt and put the ball kind of on the top of your cheek, a little bit towards the midline. So you're kind of high and in towards the crack of your bum. And then drop that right knee out to the right if you can. If that's too much on the groin, keep your right foot on the floor. But we want this right leg as relaxed as possible. And then slowly drag your hip side to side over the ball. And you want to feel that if the ball were a marker, you'd be kind of just drawing a horizontal line across the top of your butt cheek. And you want to run this line a few times. I usually recommend anywhere from 7 to 10 deep, slow pulls, left to right, to see if we can get at the piriformis, one of those cranky low back muscles. Psoas, piriformis, QL tend to be like the three nasty amigos of low back pain. There are plenty of other situations. Across the cheek. Now start to go a little bit lower. So go kind of deeper onto the meat. Explore the real estate you have down there. I have a significant amount of real estate, which I enjoy exploring with the massage tools. You can even, some people will even at this point like kind of awkwardly gyrate on the floor. That's cool too, because you're at home alone in your house and nobody can see how strange this looks. And then take the ball and bring it out towards the edge of the hip. And right out on the side of your hip there is a bone, big bony sticky outy bit, and that's the top of your femur. And what I've done is I've placed the ball on the side of my cheek just before it hits that femur. So I'm just a little bit behind it. And then I'm just going to rock right in that space, right at the top of the femur, where the femur starts to meet all of the tissue of the glutes. And you can rock at a few different levels. So I'm sort of on the middle of the cheek. I could go a little bit higher and rock up there. Feels great. I could go a little bit lower on the side of the cheek and rock over there. And what I love about these massage tools is it's really easy to get people into their body when they're feeling like a luxurious massage or an intense massage, whatever level you want to work with is groovy. It's easy to get out of your head and down into your body because it feels good to be in the body. And so if there's any reason to order tools for this time in your life, it's because it can help downregulate. It can help physically de-stress the body and create sort of a breeding ground for ease when some of the other practices that can be a little bit more challenging. Okay, cheek to cheek, let's go to the other one. Lift your backside. Place the ball kind of high on the meat of your left cheek. I've let my left knee drop out to the side. My right foot is on the floor. That's my driving foot. I'm just going to drag a little bit side to side, drag left to right. And immediately notice if there is different information on the left side as opposed to the right. Or a groove, as though you're sort of running your hands, across the sand. They would start to create a slightly deeper groove every time you pass your hand across the sand or you pass your finger across the sand. And then start to go a little bit lower, right? You can go side to side, or you can freestyle gyrate, which is usually fun and exciting. We're having a lot of dance parties in my house, just like listening to a lot of diverse music and shaking up the energy. The ball out towards the edge of the hip and see if you can find, there's like a little nook or cranny between the top of that femur bone and the tissue of your backside. And so just think about putting the ball on your side cheek and kind of rocking on that as though it were a fulcrum. Turn so you can see. And I'm just kind of pivoting on that one point. The ball isn't really moving in this technique. It's snuggling in a little bit deeper. And then maybe you try that at a different height. I'm going to go a little bit lower. And what I can feel is I'm sort of pushing the meat of the backside back towards the midline. I'm sort of encouraging the butt back onto the butt. And if you sit on your butt and it gets flat and confused from too many conference calls, too many Zoom calls. Okay, good. So now that I have adequately fluffed your backsides, we're all going to be good friends by the end of this. Let's take the ball and keep a block handy because we're going to keep working on the floor. We're going to do the TFL. The TFL can be kind of intense. Think about sliding your hands into the pocket of your jeans. So they're not on the front. They're out to the sides a little bit. And they're lower than the hip crease. So if I were to bend my knee and find the crease, that's not quite where it is. It's a little bit lower and out towards the sides. So just think pants pocket in a pair of jeans. Now, it's pretty intense on the floor. You can always do this on the wall, but I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to put it in my left jean pocket. And I'm going to kind of hook my right leg out to the right. And I can come onto forearms or pick my elbows up. But what I want to do is lift the back knee and almost draw a circle on the front of that left hip. And if you're thinking, holy hell, this is spicy, you would be correct. Okay, I'm drawing a circle right here on the front of the hip, just so you can see. You could also do it against a wall here and look like you are awkwardly dry humping the wall. This is weird to do alone. And then do the other side. So switch to the front of your right leg. Put it in the right jean pocket. Maybe hook the left leg out to the left. I'm going to lift the back knee slightly and just draw a circle around that right hip pocket. Woo. Again, if it's too much, just do it on the wall. It's hard to gauge when I don't know everybody who's here at the moment and what kind of tools everybody's using. But if you can't breathe, it's usually a sign. Just upgrade to the wall. It's easier to move when you do that thing at the wall too. All right, take a big breath in and a big breath out. Okay, lie on your side like we're gonna have like a Burt Reynolds style chat. Get comfortable. And then see if you may be able to feel this without a block, but we're gonna try to get the inner and outer edges of the leg just a little bit. So take the ball and put it under the side seam of the leg that's closest to the ground. So I'm looking at, I got my right side closest to the ground. I'm lying on my right side. And then I put a block between my thighs just so I can kind of squeeze onto the block a little bit, okay? And then if you kind of push the knees away and pull the knees into chest, you will feel that you are strumming side to side on that wonderful IT band of yours. You can also kind of kick that bottom leg out. If the block is too distracting, you can ditch it. Should be nice and spicy. And then move the ball down a little bit. So about halfway down. And again, you can keep the block here, keep the knees together and kind of almost like you're doing a tuck, right? Knees in, knees away. If you don't want to do that, you can stack the knees, keep that top leg lifted, or you can kick that bottom leg out like you're kicking a soccer ball. And then maybe go one layer lower. Go a little bit closer to the outside edge of the knee. You are not on the outside edge of the knee. You're still on the side of your leg, above the knee. Just moving back and forth. So the motion is relatively the same, whether you decide to do it with one leg, do it with two legs, put a block between the thighs. All good. Okay. Then what we're going to do is take the block on the ball on the inner thigh. And this one I find if I just put one thigh down on top of the other thigh, I don't feel it quite as much, but you could do it this way. I like to take a block in between and kind of sandwich that ball down on some of those adductor muscles there. And then you can just kind of squeeze down into it and sustain the compression. And just hold. Everybody loves the ball work. I thought I shut that off, sorry. Everybody loves the ball work where we move the ball around a lot, but sometimes sustained compression is a great way to get in there. Let's take another big breath in and a big breath out. Good. Move it a little bit lower. Squeeze. Sustain compression. Ooh, that is spicy. Closer to the knee, at least for me. If you can't breathe, lay off. Don't squeeze down too hard. Let's take another big breath in and another big breath out. Okay, flipping to the other side. We're going to start on the outside seam of where that stitching would be if you were wearing a pair of jeans. So we're going to put the ball under the side seam of the leg, get into the IT band. You can again pick whether or not you want a block between the thighs, single leg, double leg, whatever. But we need to be able to pull the bottom knee in and press it back. So we're just doing kind of hip flexion and extension here as we roll on the IT band. So any variation of this is fine. Again, what I'm noticing is my left side is crankier than my right side, for sure. And if I knew that, if I had started to identify that in my practice already, then if I was doing this on my own, I might give my left side a few extra passes with the massage tool. Let's move it down so it's about midway down. And again, just strum that ball side to side. A lot of times we see people roll the IT band and they take a foam roller and they go up and down in the same direction that it runs. And I've heard people say that kind of straps it down and makes it less malleable, less slidey and glidey than we want it to be. That this side to side kind of plucking it away from the stuff next to it can be really effective in liberating the IT band. Let's do one more level, so go a little bit lower. And oh, that's spicy, delicious, flavorful. Okay, good. So let's take the ball now and bring it between the thighs. Again, you might just be able to squeeze in and feel plenty. I myself have a good amount of real estate there, good amount of squishiness. So I like to have this block here just because it helps me push down a little bit more. And then all we're going to do is sustain compression. So squeeze that ball down into the inner line of that left leg. And this inner line of the leg, we started to feel in those Proserpina Lunges, right? When we pushed and pulled left to right in that wide-legged forward fold. Good. Let's go one level lower and just do, oh, yeah, that's nice. Oh, so nice. The terrifying thing about doing YouTube Live is that it's recorded and could be online forever. You know, if you say something dumb in a class, it's just kind of passes through time and disappears eventually. This I have to watch my dirty jokes a little bit more here, I think. Okay, take another big breath in and a big breath out. Okay, let's take the ball out. You can stay on your backs. We're just going to do a little bit of down regulation. So take the ball. I'm going to be on my right side, and I'm going to place this ball behind the right ear. And there's a nubby, you can feel a bony, sticky outy bit, called the Mastoid Process. And it's where these big, thick neck muscles attach. It's one of the 3 attachment points. And this can be a nice place to release, especially if you're spending a lot of time on your computer. So you can place the ball on or just below that bony, sticky outy bit, and then roll the ball in a circle, like you're drawing a circle around the tip of that nub. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I seem to go to sleep okay, but then at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, I check the news stream, I check my text messages, you know, everybody's okay, is everybody okay, is the world okay, am I okay, are you okay? And my head just starts running. And this had happened a few nights in a row, and I noticed that that this was the sequence that I wanted. This is a really down-regulating sequence that can help, for me at least, improve the quality and duration of sleep. So we've hung out there. Let's move the ball to the side of the jaw, where the upper jaw meets the lower jaw. You can test it by opening your mouth, and you'll feel that big, strong masseter muscle kind of bulge into the ball. And if that's too much lying down, just sit up. Sit up and lean the weight of your head into it. It actually feels great like this. I'll do this at my desk a lot during the day. And you can nod the head yes and no. Open and close the mouth and just kind of dig in here a little bit. Release the jaw. And then one more place you can go is the temple. And so move the ball up so it's on the side of your head. And you can find the temporalis muscle by clenching the jaw. And you can actually feel that muscle kind of bulge down into the ball. And that can be a really nice 1-2 combination, especially if you're a teeth clencher at night or a jaw clencher at night. And just to recognize that even the muscles in the face, like the rest of the body, work as an interconnected system. And then sometimes we can help create relaxation in one area by releasing other areas in the system. Okay, let's do the other side. So you can roll over or flip like a pancake. I'm gonna roll so I can see you or see me or pretend I'm seeing you. Look directly into the eye of the camera. So start by finding the Mastoid Process. Bony nub behind the ear. And just freestyle here a little bit. Draw circles, sit still, take some big breaths. Feel your way around in here. And then move the ball up to the jaw, where the upper jaw meets the lower jaw. You can open and close your mouth. Move the nose around, or just stay still and let the weight of your head do the work. And then last, but certainly not least, bring the ball up to the side of your head, the side of your temple. Move or just sink in and breathe. You can clench the jaw and feel it on that side. Take a big breath in and open your mouth, exhale. And then remove the stuff out from under you and lie down onto your back. To close the class, I'm going to offer a little guided Shavasana. So just lie down and get comfortable. And if you want a blanket or a pillow, anything that makes you feel good and relaxed, just take a moment and set yourself up. Fidget, stretch, yawn, turn down the lights. And close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, think about all that your eyes have taken in over the course of the past 2 weeks. All that your ears have taken in. And see if you can let the eyes soften. A place where the eyelids meet. Ever so gently touching right there. Let the eyeballs sink heavy in the sockets. Imagine your ears relaxing around the way that they digest sound. So nothing feels grippy. Visualize that space between the brows softens and widens. And in turn, the temples also widen and relax. The jaw is easy. The tongue relaxes in your mouth. Feel the hollow of the throat soften and widen. The air moves with ease. There's no need to control the breath. Your body knows exactly what to do. And softening, that warm widening starts to move from the throat down into the very center of your chest. On the inhale, you feel your lungs inflate and hug your heart. And on the exhale, the lungs deflate and let go. Holding on and letting go. In perfect rhythm. Feel the soft widening move down into your belly. Soft, soft belly. So that the belly too moves with the breath. Sink down into the peace that rests beneath the surface. What is available down here is infinite. Bring a hand to your belly and a hand to your heart. Breathe up into your hands. I create contentment. You create contentment. Hug your knees into chest. And then make your way up into a comfortable seat. To end yoga tune-up, we don't we actually tend to do Brahmari, which is a low closed mouth hum. It's always weird to do this alone, but let's give it a try. So we'll do 3 Brahmari. Again, you kind of close the mouth. You can also plug the ears. And let's see how it goes. So 3 Brahmari together. As soon as you finish, just start your next one. Take an inhale. Thank you for your practice. I'll see you soon. If you have feedback, feel free to email me. Yeah, I'm happy that you're here. I hope we can do this again soon. Be well.